Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching us from a different time zone, like some of my panelists today, good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. And please excuse me, I've been coughing recently. But to introduce myself, I'm Marilyn. I'm the CEO and founder of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited. Today it's a very special session because we're going to talk about cybersecurity, basically to empower leaders to integrate cybersecurity into business strategy. And because I need to cough, I'll be bringing in my panelists, introduce themselves. Hi, Pooja, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Pooja Shimpi. I'm the founder and CEO of CyberNow Solutions. So I have 15 years of cybersecurity experience, and while working with multinational banks, I realized that there is a gap when it comes to providing the right cybersecurity trainings. So with that mission, I have started CyberNow. So I'm very excited to speak with you all.
Thank you, Titus.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Titus Manuel. I'm currently the president of the Philippine Computer Society and also the founding chair of the National Association of DPO in the Philippines. I've
So,
been in the IT
Heimdall at saka
industry for
DotAsia, NADPAP Academy, yung tatlo. Bluepoint.
Okay, sorry for that interruption. Sorry. That's me. I'm Titus Manuel. Thank you so much, guys. See you later.
Maggie.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm Magie Antonio. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Heimdall Digital and also the Executive Director of Bluepoint Foundation. I also work with DotAsia Organization as part of the Advisory Council and the Executive Director as well of NADPAP Academy. Thank you.
And Charvin.
Hi everyone, I'm Shavin. I'm managing partner at Shonapolby International consulting firm. I've been in cybersecurity for over just about 20 years or so. I specialize mainly in strategy and governance, and I have been holding CISO position for a certain number of organizations. So looking forward to sharing some insight with you.
Thank you. I appreciate your help introducing yourself. I think that is even so much better. So, anyway, to start our discussion, I'd like to ask questions one by one. So, to start with, I'd like to ask Maggie, since we have to talk about how we can empower leaders around cybersecurity and ensuring that this is part of the strategy. How can cyber resilience leadership drive organizational change and secure executive buy-ins for cybersecurity initiatives?
Yes. When we discuss cyber resilience leadership, we will inevitably deal with the C-level executives. We have to convince them on the value that it will bring to the organization. So we need to speak their language. What's in it for them? What's in it for the business? First, let's talk about financial impact. Cyber threats can be incredibly costly. So, show how investing in cybersecurity can actually save money by preventing those big losses. Second, it's crucial to align cybersecurity with business goals. Cybersecurity isn't just a technical issue, hindi siya pang IT lang. It's about protecting the customer's trust and safeguarding intellectual property and ensuring business continuity. So these are all core business objectives. Next, quantify the ROI or return on investment. Do your homework. Executives love data. So be prepared, cite examples and case studies. Tell them real stories. And the stories may be good or successes and failures. May mga na-ransomware na incidents or some stories wherein they were given love letters. And there's an example here that we help an organization to prevent closing because of a breach in their data. So it is important to inform them what's happening around. And there are fines and penalties too when this happens. So let's show them examples of what happens when cybersecurity is neglected versus when it is a priority. A data-driven metrics is also hard to dispute and easy to justify, especially when you need funding for cybersecurity. So this is one of the struggles actually of the IT or the CISOs when dealing with executives. So once we frame cybersecurity as a business enabler, how it aligns with the strategic goals of the business, we have a compelling case for cyber support on the side of executives. When executives see cybersecurity, that it is crucial for the company's success, then eventually they are more likely to get on board with us.
I really love what you've shared and covering like the most important things that the leaders also speaks about, right? And I
Mhm.
remember like a conversation recently with Ethan, and he made mention about to me like one of his friends actually like were attacked by ransomware, although they did not pay the attacker, right? But at the same time they didn't manage to operate as much as they used to for like 1 week, and they thought, oh, we didn't pay the ransom, the company, but at the same time they didn't realize that there's 1 week of non-operation, which is
Yeah.
equivalent to $4 million, right? And that's
Mhm.
like I really appreciate you summarizing and simplifying how we need to talk, especially like this is like mainly put as a responsibility of our IT team, right? So
Yes.
which is not in the first place, right? I mean, it's everyone's responsibility, as we discussed in the previous two discussions, right?
True.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Excuse
Bless
me. Sorry.
you.
Yes, good.
And so that leads me to my next question, by the way, in terms of like, again, it's not only IT security's responsibility. So I'd like to address my next question to T2s, that how can leaders promote collaboration between IT security teams and other business functions to be able to enhance cyber resilience?
It's a good thing I came from an HR background and also a operating officer of one of the IT companies before, so I can actually integrate yung best practices that we had over the years. You never go wrong by actually cultivating the culture of security awareness in the entire institution. Education will always be your first step of training program, and communicating with the right parties, particularly with the relationship between other departments and personnel in the institution. You have heard of the word design by design. There's also a security by design program that when you integrate security into the business process, that's important. You must be able to involve everyone. That means you promote a mindset where security is a fundamental aspect of all business processes and technology deployments. There must be a cross-functional things. We always talk about basically this is not an exclusive club, so to speak. It must be a joint projects wherein you form cross-functional teams that will actually include the IT security, the finance, the HR, and marketing to work on cybersecurity initiatives. And they have to have regular meetings, which is actually dapat yan regular meetings. And then you align objectives and incentives. That means you share the metrics. You must be able to understand where you guys are actually have to be able to meet certain standards. As far as the compliance with cybersecurity is concerned, it must be able to reflect both security and business priorities. They must be aligned with each other. Of course, you leverage technology and other tools that you actually use, particularly on automation and integration and collaborating platforms. When you mean collaborating platforms, it means you use the appropriate tools to facilitate information sharing and teamwork. To promote leadership and ownership, it must be very important that basically someone on the top must be what they call the czar. You must be able to create a czar in the team that will actually will be your executive leader. That person must be an employee, not a board member. Someone who will be accountable at the end of the day as a regular activities. And it must also the guy who will actually be the security champion. That means that guy must be able to make a decision on the spot. If he goes back to the board to make a decision, you're there because time is of the essence. A development of incident response plan is also critical. What works today may not work tomorrow. So there must be a way to be able to have a collaborative planning so that you actually have a continuous development of your incident response plan. If it works tomorrow or yesterday, that means the guys who are actually attacking you are also prepared for tomorrow. You must be able to view these guys the way you actually view a military incident. Feedback and look force in continuous improvement. You must have the post-incident reviews. Very important sa feedback for everyone. Advice from the top, but also from the people who actually are the person in line when it comes to attacks and also regular updates. And finally, you foster a mutual understanding of risk. Later on, we're going to talk about risk management because what you're looking for is a business impact analysis so that you're able to if you don't know the risk, you'll not be able to put the controls together. If you don't put the controls together, you're there. So they must be aligned with one another so that ultimately the risk assessment is done and you can implement it at all levels of the organization. Back to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And again, we had our discussion around user by design, right? And it makes sense because I mean it has to be integrated in the processes to be able to be make it part as business strategy as well, and to ensure that it runs within the culture of the organization. I appreciate that again, as usual, Titus. And that leads me to the next question. So, we've been talking about business strategy, but what strategies can leaders use to engage employees and build a cyber aware culture, right, Pooja? Please let us know.
Okay, yeah, that's a very interesting question. So first of all, I will say that I have been, I have spoken with around 50 CISOs in last 10 months, and I realized that everyone is facing the user engagement challenge. So that is like a top challenge almost every organization is facing when it comes to people. But and your second part of question is about the security culture, right? So let's first understand what is security culture, because many people talk about security culture, but let's touch base on it. So it refers to the values that determine how people are expected to think and approach security in an organization. So these are shaped by the goals, structure, policies, processes, leadership of your organization. And if I have to explain this in a very simple language, it is like how things are getting done in your organization. So that defines the culture. So it's extremely important to understand what is your current maturity level when it comes to the culture. And at Cyber Now, we have designed a cybersecurity culture pulse survey, which is based on a seven core dimensions of security culture. So that helps understand your current maturity level. So once you get that current understanding, then you can design the target maturity level and design the path towards it. And there are few strategies I would highly recommend is, many organizations just follow trainings just to tick the compliance box, or just provide annual training, but it's extremely important to provide the continuous education, and that too in a very entertaining and engaging manner. Because if employees are not paying attention to the training, they are not retaining any information and they are not learning anything, and that makes them the weakest link, which I personally don't like to say it, but I strongly believe that with the right amount or right kind of training, they can be the strongest defense. Second point I would recommend is the leadership. There is always a top down and bottom up approach. So leaders should provide the clear message and set the tone at the top that they are serious about following the security culture, or they should be more careful, because if senior leaders ignore policies or processes, or they ask for any special treatment in some way, this tells everyone in the organization that it is acceptable to just bypass the controls. So leadership involvement and lead by example is extremely important. Then clear communication. So or many organizations have these cyber policies which are developed. So it should be also developed in collaboration with the workforce. They should listen what the employees are saying to them, and these policies should be communicated to the entire organization, so everyone should understand the roles and responsibilities and the risk associated with it. And obviously, to set a positive security culture, there should be a no blame culture. That means no blame doesn't mean no accountability, but learning from incident is the key to understand why something has happened and how we can prevent it in the future, rather than focusing on who is behind that problem. And I also personally believe that a rewards and recognition program can definitely help motivate all the employees. So overall, building a positive cybersecurity culture is essential because it's the people that make organizations secure. And once there is a positive touch to it, then employees feel more secure, more, there will be no fear in raising any issues, and they will be talking openly if they are seeing something without the fear of punishment, or so that will help develop the culture eventually, because again, security culture development is a continuous process. It's not that you just implement it today and it's done. So yeah, that,
Thank,
that's my couple of
thank you for
points.
your insights. I really appreciate you, like, again, highlighting how leaders need to be involved in this cybersecurity, or in creating cyber resilience within the organization. And of course, that requires to build that within the culture, and then, of course, training the people around it, right? And so I would like to ask Sharvin's insight. And so, how we can leaders effectively integrate cyber resilience into the overall business strategy?
Yeah. So that's one of the main challenges all organizations encounter. Usually, we compare cybersecurity to an insurance. You keep investing, you keep paying, but you never understand why you're paying except the day that you need the insurance. And cybersecurity is the same thing. You invest in a lot of technology, in a lot of processes, and so on. And the challenge is always justifying why you need the investment, except the day that you get an incident and you're happy that you have all these investment. So that's a bit of the situation for most organizations, if not all. Now, there have been a number of topics that have been raised by the other panelists here. And in fact, all these are pieces of the puzzle. The culture is one thing, talking about risk management is one thing. Maggie mentioned about security not being an IT topic, but as a business topic. So if you put all the pieces together, it kind of goes up into the ladders, like it goes to the board level. Uh, I rem- I agree with what Titus was mentioning about we need to have someone who's hands-on and who can act quickly. But if that person who is down there doesn't have the budget, doesn't have the means, and doesn't have executive sponsorship, then his scope of action might be limited, which means that you need to balance both. And that's where the concepts of business impact, of risk management comes into play. So one of the things that I'm observing over the past few years is there are more and more security conscious, I would say, profiles sitting at board level, which means we don't, organizations don't need to have an expert in cybersecurity at board level, but they need one person at least who understand what is cybersecurity and how cybersecurity can contribute and what can deliver business value. So that's one of the ways how organizations can actually start building that empowering actually their leadership. The other thing is risk. We know that every organization is deep into risk management, whether it's reputational risk, whether it's operational risk. We mentioned about incidents that and data breaches that have been disrupting organization. So it is an operational risk, but it leads to also a financial risk. So cyber risk is one of those I would say, elements, which is still very, I would say, not vague, but blurry. Blurry in the sense that it's very difficult to quantify. So you can quantify financial risk by putting a price tag on it, by putting a dollar value. But cyber risk, it is still very in a very early stage of this kind of approach. We know that banks, insurance are very good at calculating risk. So there is more and more the concept of cyber risk quantification, which is spreading out. And cyber risk quantification is one of the ways for getting management buy-in and executive buy-in, because then you start talking their language, because they understand only risk. Okay, there has been I've personally had experience, and at some point it has you have to be blunt. uh, in one of my engagements, I have been to the board explaining why they should invest into a cybersecurity program over a certain number of years, of a certain number of dollars. I don't want to mention that, but it was a $10 million project. But they were still trying to figure out. The only thing I said at the end, because they keep discussing, was, well, probably if you don't sanction the budget, next time I'm back in this boardroom, some of you might no longer be on the around the table because you'll be fired. And that's what we are observing. A lot of organizations, we do see senior executives being held accountable whenever there is data breaches, cybersecurity incidents, or these kind of situations arising. So that's where also continuity and resilience come into play. So overall, it's really about balancing all of these elements, and that's where what we call the cybersecurity operating model comes into play. Because in your operating model, you need to have okay, uh, in your operating model, you need to have those elements: risk, cyber culture, awareness, training, security by design, depending on what actually is the business about. Because some business will talk a lot about cloud security because they rely a lot on the cloud, but other businesses might rely mainly onto proprietary cloud, just because their business nature or the nature of industry they work on in requires them to have a different kind of infrastructure and setup. So there's no one size fits all. It's really about finding the right fit of cybersecurity program strategy based on your organization. But all these key elements needs to be factored in: people, process, technology. That's the classic things we usually talk about. Now more and more people are starting to read in data, because we are moving into a very data centric world. So that also is one of piece of the puzzle.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And since Judy is not here, I will appreciate, although quite a number of you have made mention around the cyber risk, right? Maybe you can also contribute, each of you, from Pooja to Juice to Charmaine and Maggie, to maybe give a bit of word or contribute to answer the question for Judy on how can leaders effectively manage cyber risk and prioritize resilience initiatives. You
Maybe I
want to
should
go?
start with this one. Let's, okay.
Okay.
The most forgotten aspect is actually called the business impact analysis. That means that there's a kind of project that basically you manage the risk, how it will affect the business. Because we have been asked so many times, what is the ROI of cybersecurity? There's none. It's difficult to be able to figure that out. But if you want to know the risk and how much it will impact the organization, then that is your ROI. It will come out at the end, the very end, that the impact assessment will just tell everyone, if this happens to us, we have no job, we have no business, we have nothing. So hopefully it's going to be part and parcel of a risk assessment that should be conducted by the institution. Thank you. Magie, you want to take it?
Yes. Yeah, to answer your question, leaders can effectively manage cyber risk by implementing a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy. That's on top of my head. Okay. So first is risk assessment. Risk analysis was a term used by Titos. So you don't know what you don't know. So begin with identifying and assessing potential cyber risks to your organization's assets, systems, and data. Next, we need to prioritize risk. Once risks are identified, prioritize them based on their potential impact and likelihood of occurrence. As I always say, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. And when it happens, what do you prioritize? Okay. Also, very important is training for everyone. No one should be left behind. Everybody in the organization should be equipped, so there should be a cyber security culture that's already prevailing in your company to help your business. Finally, have an incident response plan and practice it. 77% of organizations worldwide do not have a ready response plan, and roughly half of those who do not really practice it. So sometimes there are plans already in the manual, but they don't know how to practice it. So if we have some fire drill or earthquake drill, it would also be nice if we have like a cyber security or data breach drill when it happens. Okay, so both can run like headless chickens when an actual incident breach happens. So the operative word would be observability of risk and executability of the response. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Is there anyone else who'd like to comment when it comes to cyber resilience, or how can you make cyber risk and prioritize resilience?
Usually, all this approach tends to be quite burdensome. Why? Because depending on the size of the organization, uh, you do have a lot of assets, a lot of resources, whether it's application, whether it's data, whether it's people. So the concept of what they call crown jewels is usually the starting point. So rather than trying to focus and analyze risk everywhere, the starting point is really to understand what is critical for your business first. So once you understand what is critical for your business, what system, what application, and it might be just what type of data, then you look at what risks are targeting these applications. So that's one side. And when an organization gets more mature, it can get into active threat intelligence. So usually when we talk about risks, it's because there is a threat actor somewhere who is trying to explore to explore a certain vulnerability to create that risk. So a risk happens only when there is an attacker or there is an agent that's going to trigger the risk. So usually threat intel is also one of the key elements, depending on again the maturity of the organization and the capability of the organization to have these kind of practices. But yeah, crown jewels, your threat landscape, your risk scenarios, and then you can go into evaluation of which risks you want to accept, which years you want to manage, and which ones you want to actually mitigate, depending on what are your capabilities and what are your resources.
Yeah, and I will just quickly touch base because my fellow panelist has covered most of the key points. So, from resilience perspective, I would say that tabletop exercise is really important because it helps prepare you in this situation. When you undergo cyber attacks, then everyone is at least aware of what needs to be done, and means things can be managed in a much more good way rather than just chaos, because processes are there, but if it's not tested, then it's not of much use.
Thank you. I really appreciate this conversation because it gives us or the leaders more more ideas in terms of how they can actually balance all the elements within the cybersecurity, which in turn creates more cyber resilient organization, right? And so that leads me to my last question, which I would normally call the Miss Universe or Mr. Universe question. And if you have like if you can limit it to like one sentence, that would be great for the purpose of time. If you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it? Maggie?
Okay. So, thank you for that question. And actually, if I have a magic wand and dealing with cyber resilience leadership, I would really prioritize for the executives to have empathy for their cyber security team, because with when you have empathy, the concern, the the love for your and the valuing of cybersecurity and what it brings to the organization will follow. So not just the character, you will also need to train your team to do it, and then eventually your business will benefit from it. So it's a circle where you give you get what you give. So that's it.
Thank you. How about you, Pooja?
Yeah, if I have a magic wand, I will just sprinkle the magic on the CXOs and make them cyber savvy, so that they understand the cyber risk and provide the approval for the budget, and help and onboard solutions like CyberNow to bring in, because once CyberNow is there, then you don't need a magic wand, to improve the security culture, or to engage your employees.
Thank you. How about you, Titus?
It's security by design. It's nothing better than that discussion. It's really promoting a mindset where security is the fundamental aspect of all processes and technology deployments. If you start on, there is a privacy by design, there's infosec by design, and also people by design. And there's nothing you cannot go wrong with the design concept, because after all, if it is going to be a foundation, it's carried through the entire organization. I'm speaking from the heart, from an HR practitioner, but actually people are totally involved in the aspect, and they understood what's the next step and where did they go and do they go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. How about you, Sharp?
Well, I think it's a very tricky question, but yeah, if I had that power, probably the thing I would like to change would be mindset. And it's two sides of the coin. One is the mindset of the good guys, to make sure that they actually understand how they can collaborate with the different actors, different people, different parts of the organization. Like we just said, the CXOs to be more savvy about cybersecurity, these kind of things, and also the bad guys, so that's they start troubling people. They stop troubling people. But yeah, that's that's how the world runs.
Thank you so much. And again, cybersecurity is also like a lot to do with the mindset, right? At the end of the day. So thank you for that magic one. I mean, I really hope that we have that magic one. But even without that, I mean, with the work that we do, and even hopefully with this conversation, we manage to encourage more organization, more people to really like take a hold of their cybersecurity awareness, their training, and also to be able to like um, sparkle that in their organization, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not all about the money. It's all about the operations, the reputation, and sometimes if it's a healthcare company, it can even cost lives, right? So I really appreciate all of you for your insights, for your tips, and I actually would like to invite our audience now to like ask questions or give comments, whether on a replay or live. Do let us know how we can help you in this cyber resilience. And of course, you've been seeing the link. We will also add that on the comments later on how you can actually join us and learn more about how you can create more cyber resilience in your organization through our upcoming Cyber Resilience Summit this coming 23 and 24 July. That's going to be in the Philippines. And we look forward to having you in this program. And let's help each other to create more opportunity to create a world that is more cyber resilient, right? I mean, we can't get away with the digital transformation. So might as well do all our best to, to grow our capacity to respond. And I believe that together we can actually achieve it, right? So thank you so much, Pooja, Pitus, Sharvin, and Maggie. I really appreciate your insights. Very wonderful conversation. I hope you enjoyed that as well. And please feel free to keep in touch with us and let us know how we can help you when it comes to cyber resilience. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you. Looking forward to see you in June 5 for the next session. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.